This is Remembering Smallville,
a Smallville rewatch podcast.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Brett.
So, I want to talk to you guys about something that I struggle with, and I wanted to hear your thoughts. Swallowing pills. Because Lex attempts to do so, and I can't do it. So I wanted to hear, how do you do it? What's it like?
Yeah, she cannot swallow even like a tiny pill.
I have swallowed pills before, but very rarely.
She has to
great
like
effort.
She has to go be off alone and put all of her heart, mind, and
like
strength into it.
Not a thing I can do.
My baby brother cannot to this day. He still cannot do it.
It's mental. It's 100% mental. So do I.
I know. So what I did with my kids is I was like, you will not be like this. You will learn at a young age to swallow pills.
I know. I feel like I've missed out. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like if there ever comes a time when I need like a pill, like it either needs to be really, really, really small.
Okay.
And then I can usually get it down, but it's
just
like mental.
Do you not take vitamins or like medication or anything, which is awesome. So this is what my mom always told me. She's like, you swallow food.
I know.
Way bigger than a pill, right?
I know.
So she would say, put it in your mouth, pretend like you've just chewed, then swallow, open your throat like a river and just swallow a bunch of water like you're swallowing food. So that's what I tell my kids.
That's a great.
I can take, are you guys ready? I can take 7 pills at a time. And I'm talking like capsules.
Yeah, when I was doing some bodybuilding, I would take a bunch of supplements and I would take somewhere between like 7 and 10 a day.
Insane to me.
You know, like I would take these dandelion root pills and you'd take 2 of those twice a day and they're big. Alongside
horse pills.
Yeah, they're big. And then like I would take a vitamin C pill that was like giant. I can take a lot of pills. It doesn't bother me. I don't really like take medication in general and I try to avoid it where possible. Mostly just an ibuprofen person. But yeah, and it's funny because Nicole, we get the chewables, like the children's chewables for her.
Well, it's the same dosage.
Yeah. And
4 children's chewables is the same as 2 swallowable pills. So I'm just kidding. It's all the same.
It's just funny because like if she runs out then and she has a headache, I'm like, oh, we're screwed. It's how it is.
I mean, I can take medicine. It's not hard for me. But I mean, I've gotten to the point where I was in places where you couldn't trust the water. So you wouldn't take a pill with
dry
water.
swallow?
I can just dry swallow.
Oh my God.
No.
So I'm like, it's fine. Like, so I try not to take medicine. I'm terrible at taking prescriptions when my doctor gives them to me. Kim can speak
But not
to that.
because he can't swallow pills.
It's just that I.
So
just
Nicole,
don't,
you should get a small pill and just practice every day.
I need to like find
If
like
that's something
I
you
need to find
wanna
like a
break
vitamin that's little to practice because I don't want to take like an actual
No,
medication.
take Tic Tacs. Tic Tacs are a great practice.
Genius.
Like the orange ones.
And then
maybe.
as you get better, you can add 2 Tic Tac. You know what I mean?
Tic Tacs or M&Ms, I've heard.
It's a good idea.
Because you might need to
too. So.
like if you get pregnant, I guess you have pills to take and stuff, don't you?
No.
Vitamins.
Well,
You
hopefully
could
never.
take
The
prenatals
gummies,
if you want. I didn't.
They have increased the amount of gummy type things that you can do these days.
Yeah, they have.
weed.
Oh, not like that.
Well, I was just thinking, airborne emergency, you can actually take those in
Gummies.
gummy form now and get a ton of vitamin C from it.
Because
so
we're all
that's
just
good.
big babies grown up.
I do love the meme where the person has like some sort of sickness and it's like that one vitamin gummy I took 18 years ago fighting for its life, and it shows somebody like doing like a kung fu movie. I really do love that because there are a lot of us who like the only time we've ever taken any vitamin was like when you were 12.
A Flintstone gummy.
Yeah,
Flintstones.
those are good old times.
Speaking of weird gummies that make you crazy, an insane asylum is in this show. Let's talk about it.
Thank you for listening to the Luther Corp Weekly Memo. All Luther Corp employees are encouraged to follow the Remembering Smallville social media pages to stay up to date on the latest Remembering Smallville news and policies. Follow us at Remembering Smallville on Instagram or email us at rememberingsmallville@gmail.com.
This is season 3, episode 9, Asylum.
Lex languishes in the sterile confines of Belle Reeve's sanitarium, where his father has placed him. That's all it says. I love it.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And the 3 meteor freaks.
have been looking forward to this episode for a
love
couple
it.
seasons. There were some episodes, listeners, if you've listened to all of our episodes, you'll know that I was talking about these episodes and I said, oh man, I'm going to rank this one a super, but you'll know why later. And it wasn't because that episode was necessarily
with
that
Van?
great. Oh, one with Van, Dichotomy, even, I just forgot his name.
One with Eric.
Eric, yeah. All three of them, I rated those as super, not because the episodes themselves were great, but they're good building blocks. And I pointed this out in a couple episodes back when you were listening to us, that season 3 starts to bring all of these storylines together, and they're starting to connect pieces, whether it's, hey, let's talk about the mayor when he was a young guy. Now we're bringing it into this and that criminal story. We're bringing him back. In this case, we're bringing these 3 characters back, and they're all ganging up, and their storylines matter. If you hadn't seen those episodes, you wouldn't understand why electricity can be used to transfer Clark's powers to Eric. You wouldn't understand why Jonathan Taylor Thomas is able to split and do this activity. And then Van, why is Van so against the meteor freaks, and why is he out to get Clark? It's a good thing to know, and I really enjoyed bringing those storylines together and finally putting a period on them too, because the question Kim always asked, what happens to these people?
This got me so excited. I'm like, I finally get to see the hospital where they send all the crazies. So
and they do their
exciting.
best in the 40 minutes of say hi to my 2 girlfriends and
Yes.
you belong in here, you meteor freak, and whatever Eric says. I don't remember what he says.
I don't either,
Been,
but yeah.
been on any bridges lately? I don't know.
Yeah.
So they give you like one line to like let us know if you had missed it,
Yes.
that they're all connected and that they hate Clark. But it's such a good episode. So this episode starts with Lex getting his daily pills, which is why we talked about pills at the beginning of the episode.
You guys,
and
insane asylums creep me out.
this one seems overly crowded. Did anyone feel like it was just full of
Yes.
people?
Yeah, I
You
feel
mean
like
in the town where everyone gets absolutely loaded with
there could be
kryptonite?
something to that, but there's also this idea that I feel like they wanted it to feel oppressive.
Claustrophobic and dirty.
Because I'm sure that anyone who is there feels like it's oppressive to them. And so the more people that are in there and being crazy, the more oppressive it feels. And so you're getting this from Lex's perspective.
True.
So I really, really like how they put the atmosphere in such a way that it feels that way to him.
And I love that Lex is still borderline genius.
Oh,
He's
I
watching
know.
everything. He knows I'm not taking this medicine. I'm getting my head straight while I'm in here and protected
Yeah.
from things.
Okay, question. Can we talk about his amazing
Painting?
pill?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, well, of course. He starts to paint like a classy guy because he is, right?
He's like, my daily painting. I just imagine the bottom of those cups just full of pills.
I know. So here's my question. I thought that he hid the pills in his cheek, but he does this cough thing. Was he good enough to swallow them and then somehow
no, no.
regurgitate them
No.
up?
No, I
Okay.
think the cough was to cover up
Him
the
getting
dropping
him out of
them.
his mouth.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
loved it. And it drops in each color.
So good.
So good.
How fortunate that the colors match perfectly.
Lex had to have had so much fun doing these episodes.
I don't know though. This one
Maybe
this
they
one-
were stressful.
I feel like this one is harder to watch for sadness than the previous one.
He had to have been
Because
exhausted.
He's been in there for a month.
Oh, yeah.
So he went from 90 days on a deserted island to being drugged and manipulated and gaslit for a couple months at least, and now another month. It's been at least 6 months of him just essentially being tortured.
I want to
psychologically.
take him home and be like, let me show you a good life. Let
I
me
know.
take care of you.
Did you like his confrontation with Clark when they first see each other?
Well, before that, even, I love how when Clark enters the asylum, all of the people start
Hating
kind of,
him because he put all of them in.
Yeah, and the guard's like, "Man, you sure know a lot of people in here." That was, I think, my favorite thing is for Clark to kind of be able to
See
revisit
some
some of his
consequences?
past demons. It's so good.
Yeah.
And then, Clark comes up to him, and he's been trying to visit him for a month, but the doctor has said that hasn't been
Wasn't
well.
ready.
It's so sad. Lex now knows his secret, and he comes up to him. He's like, "I know your secret."
I haven't
but-
told anybody.
And
You gotta help me get out of here.
And Clark's immediate reaction is to look at the camera.
yeah.
Yeah.
Clark says, "No, Lex, I'm not gonna break you out." And Lex loses his mind,
This broke my heart.
which is like, well, of course he's pissed. Like, he knows Clark can. And Clark is saying no.
I know. I know.
It makes Lex get taken back to his room, which is the worst room.
Oh my
Sleeps
gosh.
on a metal slab.
It doesn't make any sense for it to be that hostile. No. It's torture.
Yeah.
It's straight up torture. In my mind, Lionel said, "Make that room horrible."
He was like,
I
let
bet
me
you other
design
people
it.
I bet you other people in that place have beds.
Oh, sure.
But Lex gets nothing. He gets
Not
metal
even a
and
blanket.
concrete.
Yeah.
It's so rude. And I hate it.
Yeah.
And because Clark said no, Lex cannot take it anymore. He's not being drugged now because he's not taking those medications. So he sharpens, is it a pencil or a paintbrush?
I think it's a paintbrush.
It could be either. I couldn't tell. It looked like a pencil, but it could be a paintbrush.
So he makes a shiv
Yeah.
and he stabs the guard and without his shoes on makes a run for it.
And he tries to climb the fence. If you've never seen the movie The Great Escape, this is straight up a scene from it. Except that the guy who does that similar thing in The Great Escape is actually killed. But he starts climbing and desperately even starts climbing over the barbed wire and starts to scream.
In pain.
And then they tase him.
They tase him and he,
And the way he hits,
And tasers can be actually a pretty lethal weapon.
and look at his hands from the barbed wire.
No.
Here's the thing. Do you know what happens when you get tased? You seize up.
So he would have
he's-
been gripping tighter.
Yeah.
Yes, it's terrible. Like you might as well let him get over and tase him on the other side.
It's so sad because like Lex is at the end of his rope there in a sane way, not in a drugged psychotic break
Yeah.
way.
right.
And he's a prisoner.
Yeah. He's like, at this point, he's like, I'd rather die.
Well, Belle Reve is a prison.
Yes, I know, but
It's a special prison
I think
for
it's
the mentally
worse.
ill, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to get people who commit crimes that are crazy, but this is all of them, all in one place.
it's just
and
miserable because we just see one day of Lex being there. Can you imagine sleeping on that for 30 days?
Oh my gosh.
And people telling you you're crazy when you know you're not.
And you know it's not warm in there. It's
And
probably
you
freezing.
know the reason that you're in there is because you know the truth about that your dad's a killer.
My God.
yeah,
And that's why you're here. Like that you've been framed and made to look crazy.
Yes.
And just the mental gymnastics and the mental mind games and the betrayal that your dad would do that to you.
if you want to be a little bit less serious for a second and a little bit happier, we can go to the Kent farm where it's always sunshine and
Except it's not because Clark is feeling miserable and guilty that Lex knows my secret. He knows I can break him out. He asked me to break him out and I said no. And now he's stuck in prison.
I got the feeling that he's keeping him there to keep his secret.
Not necessarily.
What's he gonna do when he breaks him out?
Right.
It's true. Where is he going to put
Right.
him?
And
Yeah.
and Clark is saying, Dad, like, would it be that bad if he knew? Would it be
like-
that bad?
Yeah,
Pete
Pete
knows.
Pete knows, and Jonathan is 100% against it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which was sad because I see the gray area in it, but Clark is just miserable.
I have a theory that had Lex really known, I don't think he would have ever turned
I
bad.
agree.
Oh.
I disagree with that theory. I get where you're coming
He
from.
wouldn't have turned.
I think it
from
would have
that.
altered. I think it would have altered events significantly to put Lex on Clark's side, and they would work together to overthrow Lionel, and then Lex would no longer have Lionel's influence.
Right.
I can see that, but there's a lot of things in Lex that and you see it over and over again, even outside of Clark, that he'll end up using what resources he has to manipulate people. You don't think that he at any point would manipulate Clark to do things for him.
For
his gain.
sure.
I don't know. I feel like that would bond him and Clark together in such a way that he wouldn't want to.
That doesn't erase the fact of how he was raised. Like, Lex will do anything to get what he wants.
Yeah, but imagine if the Kents really take him in at that point. Had Clark told him like season 2, then
I don't know. Is he past change? He's what, 23?
he's like 22, right? So I don't know if he's past change
His
at that
frontal
point.
lobe hasn't even developed all
I
the way
think
yet.
that
Oh, true.
if he had found out maybe season 4 or 5, it would have been a little too late. But at this point, if he would have known, I think it would have altered things significantly.
Now, I mean, we're all talking,
Theory
here, but
crafting's fun.
I
though.
do think that this is actually why I enjoy the storyline of this in Smallville, because no other storyline did the Lex and Clark as friends growing up this way.
Yeah.
And I think this is how you can better establish that. It sets it even better than a lot of the movies or other storylines as to why Clark can't just stop Lex.
Yeah.
There is an emotional
yeah.
attachment that I do still care about Lex, even if he does something super evil, and he will. But as he does these things, Clark still has this emotional attachment that says, I can stop what he's doing, but I can't see myself. Take this for example, what we're seeing here. Can I put Lex back into the same situation now that I've seen him be stuck in this prison? Can I put him there again and feel good about myself?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good point.
So it's like how miserable he is watching this. How is he ever going to justify doing that again? No, he'll just stop him from doing whatever evil plot he has.
It's a good point. I do like that. A really good outlook. Speaking of outlook, Lana has a very pessimistic outlook on her progress in her physical therapy from her...
Horse accident.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So she's broken her leg in 4 places, which we think is probably not enough places.
Yeah.
And the fact that her knee is perfectly fine is just like her femur. Okay.
Yeah.
And her hip. So she's trying to do the little walkie thingy, and the therapist is like, you can do it. And she's like, I can't.
Yep.
And meanwhile,
Boone from Lost or...
Ian Somerhalder or Vampire Diaries. Nicole, are you still watching it?
no.
Did you give up?
Yes.
Okay. How
We
far
talked
did you
about
get?
it in the last podcast that you missed.
Oh.
I hate it that the parents are not involved.
Yeah.
I just can't.
I remember you
just
saying
breaks
that.
my brain. And I mean, even in this episode, where the is Nail? Where's Nell?
I know. For her rehab. I know.
Nell don't care.
Nell's out, man.
But Ian Somerhalder looks like a baby.
He
looks
does
like
look
he's
young.
12.
He looks so young.
He looks
so
12
cute.
and 18 at the same time.
He's one of those faces. Yes. Yes.
I like him. I like him a lot in Lost. If you've never seen Lost, he's a great character in Lost.
I didn't know he was in Lost.
Yeah, he plays
Cool.
a character named Boone, pretty similar to his other stuff, but also a little different. I think he's a more dynamic actor than some people might say.
After this, I believe you. I was like, he's doing a great job in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so their way of flirting in this first scene is fighting.
Yeah.
Do you guys like to fight, flirt?
We do all the time.
No.
no.
We have fake arguments. Not fake, but like we'll argue about really stupid things, and it's a playful way of arguing. But Nicole does sometimes get a little frustrated just because I do push buttons a little bit. We'll argue about things where like I'll say like shrews are super cute,
They're not.
and we have these really funny arguments where I'm like, no, they are, and I'm like, I just want a shrew, and she's like, I will not ever let you get a shrew because they're the worst, and it's
We
just
do have dumb arguments like that. Yeah. I think it's better to die frozen, like cold, and he thinks it's better to die hot.
Oh, cold for sure.
cold. You fall asleep.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thank you.
If you're taking it to extremes, it's the same. Like that's
It's
the problem.
not, though.
No, because listen, everyone always is like, oh, but you'll just be hot and uncomfortable. Do you know how long you have to be cold before you fall asleep? Do you know?
while.
Same as
Okay?
hot.
I know, but it's the same thing. You're going to go
I don't
hot,
wanna-
and then you
I'd
go to
much
heat
rather be
exhaustion,
cold.
and
See,
you
when
pass
I
out
hear
and die.
hot, I hear like
Burning.
to death.
Yeah.
Like you're actually on fire.
Right.
Like the blistering.
So let's go that way then.
Yeah.
If I'm blistering in fire, right? I am in pain for maybe 10 seconds before shock's gone,
Not 10
and I'm
seconds.
done.
Not
no,
10
shock sets in. I
This
don't
is
feel
what
it.
we fight about.
So, guys, this is the worst. Everyone goes, oh, but if you're cold, you just fall asleep. After days of being freezing, then you fall asleep.
Not days. Depends on how cold it is.
Yeah. Hot, if you're saying the same level of hot and cold, if you go to those same levels, right? Then you're talking about heat stroke.
We
and
also
you pass
fight-
out and you die.
We also fight about who's going to die first.
And that's
if he
clearly
dies first, I'm going to burn his body, keep his ashes above my bedpost. So when I have sex with my new husband, Brett has to witness it every time.
Okay.
So
Is that because you? Is that like your
because I'm
punishment?
pissed that he died first.
It'll be revenge sex for it.
I won't even like the guy. I'll just do it while I stare at Brett's ashes.
This is what you get for dying first. You. Yeah, we were talking about fight flirting.
Smallville? What? Yeah, fight flirting? Adam, Lana, therapy?
Yes, we do fight flirt.
Fight flirting is something here's the thing. I don't know if I could fall for a girl who fight flirts from the beginning.
Yeah, it starts off pretty
It's very
hostile.
immature,
For
yeah.
them, they're not like, it's barely flirting, but it is. And I don't necessarily think Lana is flirting yet.
I don't
He's
think-
flirting with her,
Yeah,
but
I don't
she's
think
not
she
flirting
likes
with
it.
him.
You know, and I love how he says, "I don't think struggle is part of your vocabulary."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to be fair, this is my Lana defense. This girl had been through a lot. Not
Yeah.
just her parents dying, not just her aunt abandoning her,
It's
but
a
the number
weekly
of times
thing.
she's been attacked, almost gang raped, literally, she just got trampled by a horse. Like,
Yeah.
struggle is actually something she does
And the last
know.
guy she kissed, like, magnetized himself to a gasoline truck and abandoned her for jail. I don't.
Yeah, it's struggle is actually something she knows very well.
It's true.
Yes and no. She's also very pampered by everyone around her
Oh,
at the
sure.
same time.
That part's accurate.
And I think he meant more of like nobody confronts you. Nobody stands up to
yeah.
you and tells you the truth. That's the part that I actually appreciate what he says, and that's the part that seems to stick in her mind from him. It's very intuitive of him to say, I'm pretty sure nobody tells you the actual truth. You know?
And I'm pretty sure you have a boyfriend that saves you all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
You
She's
don't
like,
have anyone
"No."
here to fight this battle for you.
Next, this scene. We're back at the asylum. If you recall, Lex had just tried to escape. So now they've got him in like a body cage.
What is this?
It's torture.
This was this. I am claustrophobic. This. Oh, I can't.
Yeah,
even
it's
look at
it's
it.
100% torture, and you can't convince me any otherwise.
No.
Lex is laying there, and his dad comes by, and is rubbing his face, and
I
just
hate that he comes
like,
to visit him. Period.
Oh, don't touch me.
don't touch Lex. Stop touching him.
And Lex just has to take it.
Well, at first he does. And he's trying to tell his dad, I'm cured. I'm perfectly fine. A cured man doesn't need to be in here. And he's trying to convince his dad, like, let me out. I'm fine. I swear I'm fine. Like, it worked. Your treatment plan worked. See, I'm totally fine. And Lionel says, oh, I was trying to get you out, son. You were about to get out.
But then you tried to escape.
Nope. And then Lex turns and he flips the switch and he says, no, I'm in here because you know I could put you in prison.
Yeah.
And then Lionel just gaslights him and says, oh, the broken mind is so sad.
And
And then Lex starts screaming.
and his screaming is, in my mind, entirely rational.
There's nothing else he can do.
Yeah, he can't move, so all he has is his voice, and he's so mad and so upset and so hurt.
That's all there is left. It's just carnal and animalistic, and I believe it, and I feel it, and I just feel so bad for Lex.
I feel it too. I really believe it.
I love when he goes to bite his finger.
Oh,
Yeah.
very
It's
good.
my favorite.
And Lionel's like, how dare he? And it's like, that's the least of your problems. He should be clawing your eyes out.
Yeah.
This bit also, to me, is very reminiscent of anime. Anime has this level of emotion in it all the time.
Yes,
And
it's true.
That's the kind of the fun thing about anime in a way is they dial the emotions up to 11 in everything from anger to happiness.
Really?
But this is kind of one of those moments where I'm like, it's almost like I'm watching an anime. I could see this scene in anime at any point. Very, very, very powerful.
It was so good. And then we have our three boys.
Van.
Yeah, Ku Klux Van. We have Ian, the kid who splits into two. We have Van, who
Hunted down meteor
hates
freaks.
meteor freaks.
Yeah.
And then we have Ian, who stole Clark's powers at one point. All three of them have decided, you know what? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Let's work together and take Clark down because he's going to come visit Lex again. We know it. Let's be ready. Eric will take his powers. Ian will be two of himself. And Van will know the secrets.
He knows how to stop Clark.
He knows how to stop Clark.
Yeah.
So they decide to work together.
For how long, though?
Not long.
Van, poor Van. He thought he was getting in on this for realsies, but he lasted about phase one of said plan.
This bit really shows that Van was a little bit right. You can't really trust a lot of those meteor freaks. 9 out of 10 times, killing a meteor freak probably is going to protect
Well, and here's
people
the
from hurting
problem.
them.
Something genuinely happens to the mind once you become infected with meteor rock abilities because these normal people straight up become killers about 5 seconds after they develop a power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they can't help it. And that's not their fault
Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah, there's something about it that you can kind of
You can
remove some
just-
of their accountability.
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to.
They didn't consciously choose to become a killer. They've been manipulated by this, essentially a drug or a magic influence, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, to become terrible.
Yeah.
I'd like to actually ask Kim's opinion on this. Have you kind of stopped feeling hostility towards the meteor freaks, and do you feel more bad for them at this point?
That is a good question. Not quite yet.
I think of just to be indifferent.
I think that's more of what it is. Sometimes it depends on the story. Sometimes I feel bad. Sometimes I hate them. Sometimes I'm indifferent. It's just a big emotional whirlwind.
I'm mad when they do mean things to my friends on the television program.
yeah.
But also I can separate the fact that they didn't choose that.
Yeah.
Something has changed in their brain chemistry that they did not choose. They did not seek out.
See, and that's the first time you've ever brought this to my attention. Like, I've never really thought of it that way. Like, they become murderers the second they get their powers.
The fat sucking girl,
Yeah.
she just wanted to be skinny.
Yeah.
And it made her into a killer.
Yeah.
So
The
yeah,
magnet boy just wanted to flirt.
Yeah.
The boy just wanted to get warm.
The bug boy just loved his bugs. He wasn't going to hurt anyone.
Yeah, he did, but he needed to mate.
Yeah.
Like you pick
Alright.
you pick any meteor freak.
something has changed
Something
within them.
and it changes
Something
so
is not the
fast. It's
same.
it's not like they were evil before at all.
And this is why
Yeah.
in a few episodes when we meet Alicia, I still love her even after everything.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys, how'd you feel about the killing of Van?
Oh my gosh. This was so dark.
Did it shock you?
Yes.
So Van gets his meteor rock because Eric and Ian don't know how to stop Clark and make him weak. They know it's possible. They don't know what.
Yeah.
But Van does. So Van gets a meteor rock mailed to him.
He has money somehow. I don't know. What did he do? Trade something? Like,
I don't know.
You know that thing where the kids do like bigger or better? Like, hey,
Yeah.
give me something bigger or better. Is that what he did in order to get that money? Did he like get a hold on a cigarette?
Well, his dad's
and then,
dead and he has his whole life insurance.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
guess.
it's fine.
And then, of course, you have the corrupt guard who ain't going to ask no questions just because he
Yeah.
was paid off. I'm
Some
like,
weird kid wants a glowy rock. It's fine.
Ian, double Ian, they push down on like what's that weight called?
A barbell.
A barbell.
They push down on the barbell, crush Van's
Which, by the way,
windpipe and kill him.
Van's pumping quite a bit of iron there.
Okay.
The face comes out of his back. The other kid, what's his name?
Yeah, Ian?
Ian. It looks just like Harry Potter.
Yes.
When-
Voldemort.
Yeah.
Book one.
I was
Yep.
getting some alien vibes.
Oh,
honestly, a
yeah,
little
that
bit.
too. Yeah.
So they've now taken out 1/3 of the boy band. They're done. And
But they still have 3.
yeah, it's true.
That's the thing. Is as soon as he split, they couldn't have 4. That's apparently a bad number for their plan. So they needed to have 3 again. That's why he did it. It's not because he wanted to get rid of Van. It's just because of a numbers thing. Okay.
So
Four's a crowd.
So
Yeah.
meanwhile, Chloe and Clark are doing research on Lex. Somehow, Clark through the Google knows that Lex is set for electroshock therapy
Yeah, like he's getting a hold of all of these medical records.
and future medical record
So
plans.
HIPAA doesn't exist in the DC universe. Just apparently.
Sweet.
It must not. Either that or Smallville has the worst, and Metropolis have the worst HIPAA compliance. The lawsuits that could happen. This is so. I'm a little passionate about this because I've had to work for a health insurance company before as a software engineer, and I had to take 40 hours of HIPAA training and then take
40?
tests. Yes, 40. It was literally an entire work week straight of HIPAA training, taking all the stupid tests. A lot of it's like common sense, like you don't share the medical records with people. If you see a social security number on somebody's paper, you don't write it down. Like there's a lot of stuff like that, but there's also more to it and just the laws around it and everything. And there's so much around HIPAA. It is so scary to break it that I cannot believe how badly it's violated here. So rant.
they learn that the doctor's going to shock Lex. So they actually go to the hospital where one of her vegetable patients, is that PC? Anyway, yeah,
Who cares?
he's in a comatose state. I'm so sorry, America.
With like some weird green drool.
Yeah, he's,
It was creepy.
and they ask her to reconsider. She's like, "It's fine. This is a fine protocol." And they're like, "If Lionel's making you do this, please don't do this to Lex." Then we shoot back over to the rehab center with Lana and Adam. They've stopped flirting, and now they're starting to truth bomb each other.
Yeah.
They tell about their pasts and their hardships and what happened. And Ian's backstory is that his parents were in a burning fire and he
burning
went
building, yeah.
a burning building, and he went in to save them, but a beam fell on him.
Interesting
So,
story.
there you go.
Yeah.
Do you
I like
believe
him.
the story?
No reason not
No
to.
reason not to.
It seems a little weird to me. That's all.
What?
No,
I'm shaking my head.
You don't believe
Listeners,
it?
don't believe this.
Don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't
It
remember.
sounded silly because if you're walking into a burning building, you're going to have some scars and burn damage.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
true.
remember
It
his
did-
whole deal. I remember that there's something about it, and it's going to come back to me as soon as I see it. But I know enough, even just as a virgin watcher, you would be like, really? I don't know if that's true.
I didn't feel like I couldn't believe him. I just felt like, I don't know.
It just
It
feels
was a little
off,
weird.
right?
Yeah, a
It's
little
not.
feels off.
It's not blatant. It's just it doesn't pass the sniff test all
love
the
it.
way.
That's, yep.
Then we're at the school and we get Pete's one line of the episode, which have you noticed he's barely been in the last few episodes?
Yes.
One line. That's about it.
I don't know why they just were. I guess they were.
They're just
planning
bigger
on-
stories.
They were planning on writing him off or something, or maybe the actor wasn't doing stuff anymore. I don't know why, but he just kind of gets sidelined hard.
And
Yeah.
Pete tells Clark that Lex shouldn't know about Clark's secret. Pete says he's so stressed all the time because he has to say Meteor Rock and not Kryptonite, even though he knows the real name. If he just slipped up and said Kryptonite, people would be like, what the hell? So he's telling Clark it's not an easy thing to know.
Yeah.
And Lex shouldn't know.
And Clark apologizes, and Pete responds and says, "No, that's not the point. It's not. You don't need to apologize.
You just
He's like,
need to
I've got your
know."
back.
Yeah.
I don't think Lex always will."
Good Pete moment here.
And Clark tells Pete, well, we convinced the doctor not to do the shock treatment, so Lex isn't going to forget because he's not going to get the treatment. And then just at that minute, Chloe walks in and says, Dr. Foster's dead. She wrapped her tree around a pole or something.
Her
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wrapped her tree around a pole.
That's why she's dead.
Yeah,
Which is dangerous.
that's why you don't wrap trees, people.
Yeah. So she crashes her car and she's dead.
She's
but
been
then Pete
unalived.
has a great line. He says, I feel the invisible hand of Lionel Luthor.
Yeah, that was a really good
And
line.
it's so true. Obviously, she's not just dead because of whatever. It's one of those things. Have you ever heard, like, if somebody knows a secret about the Clintons, they end up killing themselves somehow?
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
one of those things where it's
You
like
get
powerful
involuntarily suicided.
people. Yeah, so powerful people make their problems go away. It's just like a trope. And so we've got this going on here. And then Clark realizes Lionel's going to get this electroshock therapy one way or another. And so Clark says, you know what? I'm saving Lex. Saving him is more important than my secret. And
I
he
loved it.
goes to the insane asylum. And you know what Lex says? Clark, I knew you'd come. Oh, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even handle it.
Oh, Coley's crying, people, if you can't tell.
Because of course he did.
Yeah. Well, of course he did. And the look that Lex has on his face
Oh, I
when
know.
Clark comes and rips off that stupid cage.
He's like, my friend.
Yeah.
My friend.
Lex tries so hard when the trio shows up and starts beating on Clark. Lex doesn't understand why they've beaten him down, but he gets hurt really badly by them as well, and he tries so hard to go
Yeah.
and help Clark.
Right. And then when Lex does get like taken by the guard, he's not thinking my electroshock therapy, save me, save me. He's
thinking-
saying Clark, Clark, Clark.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nicole.
It's never like hit me before,
Yeah.
but it just does.
Do you ever wonder if this is, besides Lex's mom and maybe his nanny, that this is just the only true friend he's
100%.
ever had?
Oh yeah. Absolutely true.
I mean, even the person he married
Yeah.
wasn't on his side. So sad.
He's literally like his one person that's there for him. He's watching him they're dragging him out of the cell, beating him.
They set up Clark on this table in the electrical room, and they're getting ready because it's time to use electricity to give Eric powers again. And then it cuts back to Lex being on the floor. He's going after Clark, and then he gets tackled by the guards. Again, this was one of those experiences where Nicole was watching this episode before me, and I just hear her say, like randomly, why is it always in the neck? Aren't there other places you can stab a needle into? Like that's the
seriously?
reaction I hear in the other room, and I'm just
Needle
like,
in the neck. Right in the neck.
Then we get a quick moment of like levity of Lana at rehab making good progress, and Martha comes to pick her up because Chloe's busy and Nell can just do whatever the hell she wants in Metropolis, I guess. And they talk about Clark hasn't been around, and Lana admits, well, I told him to stay away. And
I want you to hold on to that, listeners, because Lana ends up holding this against Clark in this season. She holds this against Clark that he didn't come.
Even though she wanted him to stay away.
Brett explained this to me, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. She told him that she needs space.
She needs him to be
so
away.
So he gave her space.
So we'll wait and see what she does.
There are girls in the world who refuse to say what they mean.
I know.
They really do. They have no concept of saying what they actually believe and mean they want to say. It is the most annoying thing, and they attach that to Lana, and this is why I'm in the I Hate Lana club. I hate her.
It's just the worst.
Just write her off. Get rid of her. Let's bring on Lois Lane, because Lois Lane will never play these games with Clark, ever.
And then we're back at the asylum. It's electroshock time. They've got Lex strapped down, and he's like literally crying, and he's telling the doctor, don't do this, don't do this. But his dad's there, and his dad has the iron fist of authority.
And he has like a bit in his mouth.
Yeah, they put a big like rubbery bite block because...
Yeah, you don't want to shatter his jaw.
And like he's completely awake for it. And we'll talk about electroshock therapy in a minute here. I don't know.
Really
or when do you want to talk about electroshock
I think we should talk about it right now, really quick.
So I personally know someone who had electroshock therapy, and it's not like this. And it pissed me off because Lex has been through enough. I've already cried about it. Why would you do a barbaric procedure without any medical niceties? So I know it's not like this. So I actually called up my friend who had this done in 2016, and I recorded it. And I actually missed the first part of the call, so I'm kind of just going to prep you for it, and then we'll play it, and we can pause, and if you have questions or discuss or whatever. So I first talked to her, like, what's it like? I know you're not strapped down to a metal bed in a dark basement.
But do they still strap you down?
I was like, yeah, what is that like?
This is Daniel in editor mode after recording. We had a weird audio issue here, so I'm going to interject and say the first question that Nicole asked here was, what was ECT like?
They do like a blood pressure cuff around your ankle, just kind of lightly, to keep the muscle relaxant from getting into your foot. So then what happens is when they induce the seizure, they can see on the brain, the EEG.
The EEG, yeah.
That you're seizing, but they can also see your foot twitching.
Okay.
But because of the muscle relaxant, you're not like thrashing around.
Right. So they don't need to put
anything
in your mouth or anything.
No.
Okay. And then how long do they do it for?
I remember that they would always tell my mom, like, oh, she did well today, lasted 30 seconds or a minute or something. So it's not a long time. It's a pretty short time.
And they do it over weeks?
Yeah, so they have what's called an acute series where they do like 3 times a week for maybe like 12 to 15 treatment sessions.
Uh-huh.
And then they start slowly spreading them out. So they might go to twice a week, or then once a week, or then once every 2 weeks, and so on.
Okay. And you did lose your memory.
I did.
Was it of your memory before the procedure, or during, or after?
It's very weird, and it's not the same for everyone. For me, a lot of things from that time period are kind of fuzzy. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't remember much about your wedding. I found out that we all went dress shopping with you.
Yeah.
And, like, went out to lunch and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was news to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was, like, while I was probably in the more, like, spread out treatments. Like, not 3 times a week. But I also have almost no memory at all of our family vacation, like the year before, to San Diego.
Okay, so it just like kind of took that memory away.
Yes. And then, let's see, I know I took a ride in an ambulance after one session. I don't remember that at all.
Okay.
But I do remember other things from within that time period. Like, I remember being wheeled around in a wheelchair, like after the treatment session, then I would get wheeled out to the exit from the hospital.
Like vague memories of it.
Yeah, and I remember I remember like one treatment, I came home and I was feeling good, so I actually went out and went for a walk outside. So I remember some things. It's really strange the way some memories were just snatched out.
Right.
Just generally speaking, aside from loss of memory, there was like a significant, you could maybe call it like a loss of muscle tone in my brain in general. Like my cognition just slowed way down. I couldn't read like I did. So, I'm used to reading, or I was used to reading fairly advanced literature, right? But I got to where I could only read Mrs. Pigglewiggle and like actually comprehend it. But I say like muscle tone because it seems to be that with like exposure and practice and stuff, I can relearn some things. But
so it's been now 8 years basically since you've had it.
Yeah.
Do you still have side effects from it?
No, I lost almost 50 IQ points. And that was like...
Do you think like permanently?
I don't know. I think it's possible. I mean, it's certainly a known possibility.
Risk, okay.
I think I could probably regain some of it, but probably not all of it.
Okay.
And then the only other long-term effect that is still kind of in effect was a positive one. It's like my brain just doesn't go to suicide as an option anymore.
Right. And that's the main reason you did it was because of depression?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Daniel?
It did really help with the need that she went in for. And so that's pretty interesting. But it's interesting how they portrayed it in the show versus what she
Real
did.
life.
Because she got a muscle relaxant and then they kept her foot free of the muscle relaxant with a little bit of a tourniquet so that it would...
Still twitch, and that tells them that she's seizing.
Yeah. Isn't that wild? So the only twitching you get is the little bit of the foot. And that's because they're anesthetized.
That is so interesting. I knew someone that got it done. I did not know that you actually lose some memory. That's so interesting.
And apparently it's different for everyone.
Yeah, maybe you don't necessarily always do, but
Yeah.
she did, yeah.
Wow, how cool. Thank you. I love that. That's so interesting.
So there you go.
It's a pretty cool little look into what ECT can do.
Because this one in the episode of Smallville that we're watching is so harsh and horrible and unethical, and I hated it.
Yeah.
Because obviously Lionel now has power of attorney over Lex because he's crazy. And there's clearly glitches in the electrical grid of the hospital.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
All the electricity was stolen so that Eric could steal
I
Clark's
know
powers.
that, but they don't.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
So they're in this room doing this procedure and it's glitching and the doctor says, it's not working the way it's supposed to. And Lionel says, just do it anyway.
Yeah.
I cannot believe.
Pretty wild.
Like the psychosis that has to exist there to just go to that.
know.
It's manic.
It's crazy. And then after the fact, he can like put his hand on his son's chest and face and be like, Lex, I love you, Lex. And like be crying about it. No. F yourself, dude.
Worst kind of villain. Worst kind of villain.
And at the same time, Clark is also battling the three amigos.
In the basement.
yeah.
They steal his powers, and Clark, again, is smarter than the people who steal his powers, luckily. And he picks up some kryptonite. It's a good thing that he also inherits Clark's weakness to kryptonite when he steals
Yeah,
his
that's
powers.
lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does that. He beats them, gets pretty bloodied up, but then he heals when he gets his powers back, which is great.
My favorite part of the basement scene is Clark bowling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like once Eric has Clark's powers, he like throws him into some like big old like they're like obviously full of gas or something.
Giant
some
like
type of gas.
CO2 tank.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, Clark bowling strike.
So how did you guys feel with the fact that as Clark steals his power back that he's the one that flips the power back on to finish
I
frying
know.
Lex?
Isn't that the worst?
I know.
It's so sad. Like, keep it off.
But he doesn't know.
He
I mean,
doesn't know.
there's separate worlds of things happening.
He's just trying to be helpful and turn the power back on for the facility. You know?
Well, and just the fact that there's so many people that can be bought by Lionel Luthor,
Yeah.
that kills me.
Look at 34 minutes, 12 seconds. You see Michael Rosenbaum essentially acting the crap out of this scene.
Oh, I know.
But he's cross-eyed, big eyes, as he's shaking like a madman just in the bed.
it's so sad.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's horrible. It's even worse than the pits of despair in Princess Bride.
It is.
I can't stand to watch people get tortured. It really
I
bothers me.
mean, this is torture.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
It 100% is.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
horrible. I mean, I guess
then
it
The
works.
sad thing is that Clark gets there right at the end.
after
Too
to
late.
see that it was too late. He couldn't save him. So, and this will become something of a storyline here for the rest of the season. But Clark knows why this happened. He knows about Lex Luthor's
Yeah.
problem. He knows about this situation.
He knows
and
about Morgan Edge and the fire and killing the grandparents. He knows that Lionel's a murderer.
And he just watched what Lionel is willing to do to keep that a secret. And that's a big burden to carry.
Right. And he talks to his parents about it at the end. And Jonathan says, this isn't your secret to break. Like, it's not your job to crack this story open. Somebody else will do it, but not you.
Or at least not you right now, because he's a kid.
Yeah. Do you think Jonathan was in the right?
Oh, yeah. I think
After all the death that's happened because of this secret,
because
sometimes-
Lionel has a lot of access to kryptonite still, potentially, and because of what he can do, if he finds out even the smallest thing about Clark, it's game over. And also, Jonathan knows that Morgan Edge found out about Clark, and what if he's told Lionel, and Lionel just hasn't played his hand yet, too? There's so many unknowns around Lionel that it's too risky.
it is. But Lex gets to come back home, and Clark goes to see him, and Lex has no memory of all of what went down. He just is happy to be cured. And I don't know how truthful that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think he's perfectly content and cured? Or is he saying that because that's what he has to say?
Oh, I don't know.
How much has he really forgotten versus how much he hasn't?
Well, and
Are there
then
flashes and memories?
What do
One
you
of
guys
my-
think?
I don't know.
I think in that moment, I think he's happy. I
To
think,
be home?
I think there's a relief. There's a pressure that's off of him. But I think it will bother him because Lex is obsessive and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly highlight one of my favorites. It's right at the end of the episode. Lionel's able to watch the footage from
I know.
from the asylum and sees that Lex knew Clark's secret.
I know your secret. Blah, blah, blah.
And
He just
is
erased his
so
memory.
mad.
I know. And he's like, why did you get this to me sooner? And the guy's like, I was trying to clean up the audio. I'm terrible at my job.
It
And
took you a week.
That guy got fired.
Yeah,
For
maybe
sure.
even killed.
He might have been a tree in a wrapping himself.
And there's a welcome back Lana party. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
Lana, she does bring a little picnic basket to Boone. That's Boone. What's his name?
Adam?
Adam. I only think of him as the guy from Lost. And that was kind of cute, I guess. Anything to keep Lana away from Clark makes me happy. So anytime she has a relationship that isn't with Clark from here on out, I'm like, yeah, you go have that fun. Stay away from Clark. He doesn't need you anymore. Go away.
Well, he goes to the welcome back to the Talon Lana party where she's chatting up with friends, and Pete and Chloe are there making an appearance. And Clark, I think his goal was to go talk to her and mend the fences, but they just look at each other from a distance and both decide it's too soon.
Yeah.
And that's how the episode
And
ends.
that's how it ends.
So, what do we say? Super or man?
It's super.
It's a super episode.
But
yeah.
Super.
so sad.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a tearjerker. It really, I mean, I wasn't crying like
I
Nicole,
did.
but it's definitely one that you just go, everything is going wrong. This is the Empire Strikes Back in Star Wars. This is the villain is winning.
This is the Ryan episode of Lex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, held captive, tortured. Clark goes to save him, but can't.
And initially, Lionel gets everything he ever wanted.
Until he finds out that he could have gotten information about Clark Kent from Lex, but he didn't know it until it was too late. And there is a little bit of that is like a little satisfying. It's like, haha, you can get everything, you butthole.
With
But
a
it also
villain-
means he's just going to obsess over it more.
That's
Yep.
true. But with a villain like Lionel, it's so satisfying to just, because you have to chip away
Yeah.
at who he is. You can't just take him down in
Yep.
one go, you know.
Just you wait. It'll be good.
I'm excited.
And on the note that it will be good, this show is great and it will be good. And we hope you continue to listen to our podcast and watch the show with us.
Thank you for listening with us all the way to season 3. If you haven't watched season 1 or 2 yet, go binge it now. What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Bye-bye.
Thanks for remembering Smallville with us. Join us next week when...
We have another double feature where
Clark wears glasses.
And Lex goes to IT.
Four friends on a mission. Daniel, Nicole, Brad, and Kim. Talking Smallville every week. The podcast a gem. Smallville nights we laugh out loud. Every week scared they make it flow. From Clark Kent to Lex's schemes, they uncover every dream. Smallville nights we laugh out loud. Every week they make us proud. Daniel, Nicole, Brad, and Kim. In the war we find our thrill. Keep watching tales of old. Their voices pure gold. Every twist, every turn, with them there's much to learn. Smallville nights we laugh out loud. Every week they make us proud. Daniel, Nicole, Brad, and Kim. In the